It's very sudden, but Ducksworth got a pole position in qualifying with Henry Mack in second and Coxey in third. Oh my lord, into the first corner, and that was a double crash with Ducksworth, one of them. That's big for his championship. He's down in sixth now, so Henry Mack has been given a good chance to extend his championship lead as they all file through the end of the first sector. They are on the baggers' bikes, which are very difficult to stay on. Very, as you see, bang. Henry Mack's gone down. Henry Mack went down at turn 3. That's one of the harder. That's one of the crashing points if you shift down to second gear because the front just unloads. So, GW Racing, I will get his actual name. I do have it on the sheet. Is in first place. George is in first. Harrison second. Willie's in third, and Ross is in fourth. With Ducksworth in fifth.
Yeah, and we're back.
And Riley's now back.
Yeah, sorry about that one. Just had to stay muted for that start of the race. But yeah, we are here. And sorry for that very abrupt jump in for the race. But we were having some very big issues. No qualifying. But yeah, Duxer started on pole. And yeah, pretty dramatic race to start us off. I mean, it's a shame we weren't here for you. But yeah, George said literally just a second before the race started on the Discord that he was going to win this, and here he is leading. And I just want to point out Harrison, in his first race in the championship, he's come from the back of the grid really, bar Mason, 8th on the grid, sorry, to second place. So good start for him as well, and Willie in third. So this is where things are going to start spreading out, but this is the sprint race, of course. Ducksworth is not going to be happy about that one. He's going to be looking to recover. He is, without a doubt, the fastest man out there. Yeah, of course, this is me, Riley Davis, joined by Jack Hammer. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was taking forever to try and find the name sheet and get it right. But the fact that Henry and Ducksworth, despite the crash, is already third and fourth, I'm assuming that means that we've had some other fallers, and I don't think it'll be the last time. I did predict that the winner of this race would be they who stay on the bike, and so far all is going well for George, but we're still only 2 laps in. Henry and Ducksworth are going to be a bit faster than him, I would imagine. Whoa, big wheelie over the corkscrew, and Harrison doing the Rossi Marquez line through the corkscrew. So yeah, this is going to be quite difficult. It's Henry and Ducksworth closing in on the gap. Henry's now up to the back of Harrison. He will be in striking distance in a couple of corners time. Ducksworth all the way back there. So Ducksworth must have had a second crash. So how long is it going to take for Henry Mack to retake the lead of this race, or will he make another mistake?
Yeah, I think he just had some issues with getting back on the track after the crash at turn 1, just because everybody else was going through, and Henry wasn't so... Oh, Harrison's gone down at turn 1. He must have collided with one of the cones. He's crashed at turn 1, and he drops down to 4th, and now already... Oh, Henry Max crashed at turn 1. Ducksworth's up to 2nd, and now George has got a massive gap in this sprint race. It's a... We're throwing you into the deep end here because you didn't get to see qualifying, but there's big penalties all around already, I think, from people going on the green. I mean, maybe not on a bagger, but you won not long ago here in MEI. How do you go about dominating here at Laguna Seca?
Don't outbrake yourself, don't touch the curbs, just ride within your limit. Try not to... most of the penalties, I would imagine, will come from turn 1, because you over turn 1 on these bikes as well. The wheel, even though the wheelbase is dead long, the thing and dead heavy, the bike wheelies over the crest, and that can send you off to out the white line, and you can get penalties. But yeah, basically just ride safe and avoid second gear at lean angle, which I think Henry and Ducksworth have taken the risk of, and it's caught them out. So if I was them, I'd just maybe be a bit safer with their gear selection, because they've got a pace advantage over most of the other riders. But despite all their crashes, they're all second and third, so the championship's tightening up as it stands. And George is 27.9 compared to the 24.5 that Henry and Ducksworth both did. This is shaping up to be a very close end to the race with 3 laps to go. we could have a three-way fight here for the win, despite George being the only one to stay on currently, and hopefully that stays the case to make this race as interesting as possible as we get to the final half.
Yeah, of course, George didn't make it to Speedway. Also DNF from the main race in Donington Park on the ZX4Rs. He was really fast in both the sprint and the main race, and now he's looking to claim that rightfully deserved podium at least, let alone a victory. But yeah, way slower than Ducksworth on that last lap. Ducksworth second on the timetables. Well, on the leaderboard, sorry. Here at Laguna Seca on the baggers, so he is without a doubt the man to beat, and he is 5 points ahead of behind Henry Mack, sorry, in the championship. So he, without a doubt, will want to take this one already, and could be leading the championship before the main race even kicks off. So, and he'll be looking to run away with it. Henry Mack has a costful mistake, and another costly mistake. George goes wheeling down the corkscrew, the gap closing all the time, and I think Ducksworth may just be able to make quick work of George. But the difficulty is how big these bikes are, and the fact that we're at Laguna Seca. If you were Ducksworth, you've got 2 laps left. Do you just try and crank the pressure on, or do you try and get aggressive now? Because George does like to fight back.
Strike where it's safest to do so. Keep an eye on the gap to Henry. Can he afford to sit behind George and just let George make a mistake? Because he's naturally faster. He's probably got 2 seconds on George. So it's just an overtake will probably naturally happen, but he'll also get the point where he might meet him in a wrong place. So he's just going to wait. I'd wait for just the run up to the roll straight up to the corkscrew. That's where I'd wait for, or maybe wait, just try and get just somewhere where it's a very simple overtake, because it's very hard to overtake here anyway. Turn 5 maybe, but you're going to have to be pretty daring on the brakes, and it's a second gear corner. So I think Ducksworth can afford to just sit back because Henry has seemingly crashed again. So there's no pressure, and he goes wide. So now Duckworth's got the run, and he's through.
Yeah, brilliant move, and he's got that covered perfectly. George went out a bit wide there, didn't expect that one up on the inside, and now he's going to try and fight back into the corkscrew. It's definitely too far away, and this is where he's been having his issues. Big wheelies down the corkscrew. You're going to see it again. Big wheelie again. Ducksworth keeps the front wheel relatively low, and this is why he's top 2 in the leaderboards here. Got straight to the front, and he's away with it on the Tyler O'Hara edition, Indian Challenger RR, whereas George on the stock version, not stock version, but the less powered version. It's not much of a difference, but it's enough of a difference to deny a run to the line. But George seemingly keeping relatively decent pace, 26.6, quite a chunk faster than he was doing earlier on. There's a cone in the middle of the track there. Unlike Ride 5, you have to be a lot more careful with the cones this time. Henry Mack, yeah, he's going to be annoyed at himself for that. I think with it being MotoGP sprint points, he's not quite lost the championship lead just yet. But it has gone down to my estimate, 1 point. Oh no, tied, yeah. Yeah, that is right. 24.5 then it is from Ducksworth, and I think he might be pushing on for a faster one, but I didn't doubt this whatsoever. Pole position for Ducksworth, only by a small chunk ahead of Henry Mack, and but we do know Henry does like his crashes. I mean, if we saw last week in the Speedway round, it was, yeah, quite a lot of crashes. It's a shame to see Mason not doing so well, but I know he's not done much practice. Pole sitter, obviously, last time out in the Speedway, set an all-time lap record, and somebody else has gone down. There's a lapped rider, that's Harrison. Unfortunately, he was running in the podium positions on the first 2 laps, getting out the way. But here comes Ducksworth then around the final 2 corners. You couldn't have really bet against him after that one. Even after he crashed at turn 1, I thought it was still on. And George done a really good job to recover to second, but around the final corner then the sprint race does go to Ducksworth, and he equalises the championship between him and Henry Mack. I'm surprised he's been able to wheelie that to the line, but yeah, good job for Ducksworth. George taking up a very strong second place in that brilliant looking bike. And Henry in the gravel on the last corner. Hang on, I didn't even realise that. And I don't think he's going to lose out for third with Alfie. They're both slowing to the line. I don't know what on earth's going on there. I think Alfie might have claimed third if Henry got a big penalty. Something weird's going on there between them two, but
they both think the line was shorter than it was.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, somebody stuck at the corkscrew. And that, yeah, Willie, I think he got disconnected. But yeah, Ducksworth takes victory ahead of George. Henry Mack did end up on the podium But yeah, you couldn't really have bet against Ducksworth, the only man really who did a lot of practice. And the more you practice, the better you get, and the best chance you have, which is fact. And that's why he got pole position. That's why he's on the sprint race today, despite being taken down at turn 1. But now we're going to go straight to the main race. No, we're not actually. We're going to do a 1-lap qualifier like we did last time out. This is going to be a bit interesting because, as we saw before, this is where riders get very unlucky. But for the past 2 single-lap qualifiers we've had at Donington Park and at Blue Wave Enduro Stadium, Ducksworth has been on pole for both of those times. Is it just lucky placement, or is he the 1-lap maestro? Well, we'll see in a moment when we get the lobby back up.
I think it'll very much depend on his track position, because obviously everybody's sort of stuck together. So if you're the fastest one and you're in the mid pack or at the back, you are in quite some trouble. So it is going to be luck, but I'd say Ducksworth is your favourite, and by Henry, and then wait and see who can file out for the rest of the front row. But it's all going to come again. It's all going to come down to consistency. Just stay on the bike. You'd probably get on the front or second row.
Yeah, precisely. And we're just trying to find out if they are going to do a 1-lap quali and for the main race, but I doubt it. I think they are going to keep the same positions, which happens in the lobby. And this all stems from me not being invited to qualifying. But yeah, an interesting race there to start off, to literally throw you into the deep end, starting soon, straight down to the grid when just before the lights went out. And we're just waiting for our invite now, but let's take a look. This is not the bike they're using, not the ZX7RR. This is the bike that they are using, the Indian Motorcycles Challenger RR. Not the most beautiful looking motorcycle in the world, in my opinion. Many American fans would disagree. But what's your thoughts about riding these so far? You've been doing a few practice lobbies with the guys.
I much prefer your natural sport bikes, just anything really compared to these things, because they were not made for riding. Well, sorry, they weren't made for racing around tracks like Laguna Seca. They were made for riding on the American highways.
Yeah, precisely.
So it's a bit of a task, especially when you're at lean angle and you're shifting down the box. But maybe once you get used to it and how the bike handles, they can be quite fun to ride. And they need to on the game. They need to fix the hood of the RPM, because it just goes to 7,000 and something RPM. And the game suggests it can get to 11,000 for some reason, so they need to change that. But apart from that, they're quite fun to ride. Obviously can be a bit frustrating. I did also notice in the race, Henry Mack was the only rider using a hard front, so whether you might change that for the longer race, go for the soft front, because I think the soft front fare better. The rear tyre, you can go with soft or hard, generally depends on your riding style, but the soft will burn up depending on your traction settings. The hard will not burn up, but obviously has that natural less grip, so it's 50-50. But I think for the longer race, I think we're going to see more of the same, lots of crashes, and he who stays on shall be on the podium.
Yeah, I think that's what we nearly saw, really. George was, I'd say, the perfect balance of staying on it and being rather fast. I think he qualified 4th just behind Alfie. Alfie will be looking to get a bit more luck. He's dropped quite far back in the title fight. And he'll be looking to recover after that unlucky race for him. He had a pretty disappointing round last time out in the Speedway. I mean, Sean was also there in the mix, throwing a spanner in the works, but he hasn't turned up for this one. I think he just wanted to get a bit of that Speedway experience to set up SDPG, and just waiting now for everything to get ready, and the race will begin. The main event on these very... You either love them or you hate them, quite simply. And to be fair to all the riders who are racing them, I mean, they're getting paid a lot of money to do it as factory riders, so why on earth not? Bradley Smith came out of retirement for it. just waiting to see what they want in qualifying order. But while they sort everything else out, let's take a look at what will be going on next time out, next week. I know we've literally just started the stream, but we're already focusing on next week because these bikes are boring. But yeah, this is what we'll be racing next week. Not specifically the Z1000, but 1000cc racing modified naked bikes. And it is going to be a lot of fun. So I do not know if it bases it on horsepower or actual cc. We'll see what the lobby does. But you could see the new Triumph Speed Triple RS 1200 in there, or is it 1300? I can't remember. Kawasaki Z1000 obviously being one of them. A bit outdated now, so might not be the one you see there, but I think the one we'll see the most is the Ducati Street Fighter V4. Okay, it looks like they're ready for us to go. Hopefully we don't get thrown into the deep end on the grid again. Let's have a look. But of course, yeah, Ducksworth, you can't put much past him winning again, can you?
No, I think the only person who's capable is Henry, but simply put, it depends on who makes least mistakes out of the pair of them. But in that rate, I mean, there was a second difference between their fastest laps, so it's clear to see what can happen if I don't think Henry ever got into a rhythm, which is probably the big reason. So if Henry is allowed to get into a rhythm, then we can see maybe a different race. But obviously it's all if, buts and maybes, and we just have to wait until the lights go out and who can put the best job to lead the championship.
And you never know what can happen at turn 1 at Laguna Seca. And where's Ducksworth? Oh, he's back there. So we've got Henry starting on first. So the grid has completely gone upside down. We've got somebody missing, I think. Harrison missing, I believe. Yeah, we have. Harrison's not made it to lobby. But Henry Mack takes the lead down into turn 1. He maintains the lead, down into turn 1. I think that might be why I need to be careful going down second gear there, not to lose the front. These things are very, very sensitive on gear change while lent over, for obvious reasons. I mean, George is now into second place. Ducksworth up the inside into second, already getting on the move and chasing down his championship rival. Yeah, somebody went down in the background there. I believe that was Ross. A good start for apologies if I'm messing up your name there. The South African lagging quite a bit there in his debut race. Not picked the best bikes to debut in the championship on, but already Ducksworth is on the move and attacking Henry Mack. Just trying to get the right onboard view. Yeah, here we go. Henry Mack being chased down into the corkscrew. Apologies for that background noise if you can hear that.
Whoa, Henry's going insane. Yeah.
Henry had a massive moment there down the corkscrew. And Ducksworth chasing him down. I'm trying to speak over the washing machine here because it's sounding like a helicopter landing on top of my house. But Ducksworth doing a good job to stick with him, and Henry Mack actually not doing too bad of staying on the bike this time. I don't want to curse him. I have absolutely no clue what is going on there. Hopefully you cannot hear that, but it sounds awful. I'm going to mute because I think you can hear that. Jack, I'm afraid you're going to have to take it away again.
Okie dokie, so it's Henry Mack versus Ducksworth in the championship and in the race, and the pair of them picking up penalties, going over the white line as they head in towards turn 2. Henry Mack taking a very wide mid-apex. We're getting a good cutback. Again, Henry wide taking the Rossi line, and Ducksworth taking the tighter Stoner line, if you remember 2008. Who can't forget that race? Through turn 4, heading towards turn 5. These two locked together. Ducksworth running soft hard. Henry's running soft. So difference in rear tyres, will that play a part throughout this race? Henry's tyre is heating up compared to Ducksworth's. Ducksworth is maintaining temperature and will be degrading at a slower rate. As they go up the hole straight for the second time, Henry had a big rear end snap as the bike was just going sideways over the crest. It's a lot more stable this time. The rear kicked out a little bit, but that's alright. Through the corkscrew, a little bit of a wheelie for the pair of them. But Henry's got this so far, he's got 0.5 of a second penalty compared to Ducksworth's 0.2, so 0.3 of a difference. So, I mean, Ducksworth won't know that unless they are, well, the pair of them won't know that unless they're listening to the commentary through a stream that'd be delayed. Oh, in the background there goes George. George goes down, he does such a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's
to
a shame.
stay on in the sprint and pick up a podium, but down he goes at the penultimate corner. Very strange place to crash, really, because there's a positive camber, but whether he clipped the curb or the outside curb or I don't know, but very strange place to crash because there's not much low going on the bike. And again, Henry Mack picking another half a second penalty, so he's already got 1 second worth of penalty in just 3 laps.
Yeah,
Henry needs to try and iron that out.
Yeah, I am back now. Fortunately, whatever that was got solved. But yeah, second penalty for Henry Mack. That is huge. I mean, he's probably earned most of that at turn 1 and the corkscrew, but now Ducksworth has no idea how big that penalty is, so he's still going to try and attack, and we can still see a good battle here. Unfortunately, George crashed out of 3rd back there. He's down to 4th now. Alfie, again, struggling to stay consistent and get a good start to the race. He seems to come a little bit better towards the end, and he's now in 5th ahead of Mason Roth. George in 4th. And Irv's actually doing a good job in 3rd there. He's got a half-second penalty. Oh, he's on the curbs. That got close. But Ducksworth,
whoa, that was close.
Ducksworth may have just seen what happened at turn 1 and might know that penalty. I mean, he's done more practice than anyone here. He knows what penalties can get handed out at certain areas. So he might just have seen that on both occasions and knows now that Henry has a survivable penalty. So he hasn't got to worry and push on at this time. He knows he's got the pace to do this, and that's exactly, he's waiting for a mistake, and that mistake has come. Henry Mack has gone really wide at the last corner, and here comes Ducksworth looking for the inside at turn 1. He pulls out the slipstream. He just, again, biding his time. This is smart. A champion's ride from Ducksworth, as long as he can stay on the bike. Henry Mack really wide. He's got the rear completely sideways, and through goes Ducksworth. He's going to get the exit as Henry Mack. He's going to try and lean a bagger out on the outside, but no, he switches it back to the inside. Yeah, brilliant move from Henry Mack. Ducksworth just letting him go for it completely because, yeah, I think he does know about that penalty, surely. Lap 4 of 9 then, and Ducksworth and Henry Mack are getting involved. Now, not to be horrible to Ducksworth, at this point I kind of want him to get a similar penalty to Henry so we can see some real close racing that actually matters to the flag.
Yes, I've noticed the reason why Henry is getting his penalties is because he takes turn 1 quite tight, so that means he's suffering the wheelies and he's going straight as these go, and Ducksworth gets a fantastic run through turn 6 up the whole straight back into the lead. Will Henry fight back in corkscrew? No, he went off Ducksworth, big stoppy, that's going to send him wide. Henry Mack's not going to get a cut back, maybe. No, Ducksworth's able to gain enough drive and hold on to the lead, so Henry's going to have to fight back pretty soon. This is a Stoner-Rossi situation.
Yeah, really interesting.
Corner.
Henry just trying all he can to stick with Ducksworth. He knows he's the faster man out there. You feel like Henry pushing a little bit harder than he's got in his back pocket, you feel, as we just saw at turn 1. But that was a brilliant run from Ducksworth. And now Henry trying to do the same thing down to turn 1. And as you pointed out there, he's trying to avoid those penalties. Does he even know where he's getting those penalties? Is he paying enough attention? He dives for the inside. Is he going to be able to cut it underneath Ducksworth? I doubt it. Yes, he is. Ducksworth is going to have the inside line back into turn 3. And through he goes, but Henry's going to try and cut it underneath him, under the bridge. He's going to be back in the slipstream. And they're absolutely pulling away from the rest of the field as Alfie's made his way up into 4th past George. And as I said before, at this point, you feel like Henry pushing a lot more than Ducksworth is. If this is your first time watching a Ride 6 race, ignore the front wheels folding constantly. It's a Ride 6 glitch. It's annoying. It's milestone. What more can you expect than disappointment at this point? And here they come into the corkscrew. Henry doing all he can, and he's doing a really good job, to be fair of him, to stick with Ducksworth. He sits him up into the corkscrew. He's gone the Rossi manoeuvre. Oh, no, sorry, Ducksworth has. I've completely messed that one up, but yeah, what a brilliant move from Henry Mack to get back into the lead. I'm going to give him that one because that was creative, and now he's back in the lead, but he's got a very, very big penalty that he's got to deal with.
Just trying to see the difference in rear tyres, because Henry's got 37% of his rear tyre and he's got 4 laps remaining, so that's going to be, and you look, Ducksworth's got 67, so the difference in rear tyres, Ducksworth's going to have a lot more grip than Henry at this stage, and probably a cooler tyre with a more optimum temperature. But Henry has learnt, maybe he can hear my suggestion, but he has fixed the line. He's taken a wider entry now into turn 1, so he can sit the bike up a bit. He's got more of a direct line heading towards turn 2, so he's no longer exceeding track limits, so he has fixed that penalty problem. But does Ducksworth will, as you said before, will have an idea that Henry could have some form of big penalty, and the rear is sliding. So does Ducksworth just sit back now and wait for another chance to pounce? He is the Casey Stoner of this situation. and he needs to learn from what Casey did in that race. He needs to sit behind and wait for the attack. Maybe just wait for the last lap, maybe. But he doesn't even need to attack. We might not know that. But going up the heading towards the corkscrew again, and everything's just calmed down now. But I don't think it'll be long before Ducksworth is firing back.
Tell you what though, Alfie is coming along strong. He's just made his way up into third. He's wearing George Wood's suit, which is quite interesting. But yeah, he's made his way up into third. That is going to surely help us commentators get confused. He's passed Irvs, or Irvs has crashed due to his lag. But Mason's not doing a bad job in fifth, considering the amount of practice he had. Though 3 laps to go, Ducksworth chasing down Henry. Penalty or not, regardless, it's going to be a spectacle because there can easily be contact, especially on these baggers, especially down into turn 1 as well. Henry going for the defensive line is going to put him out for a wider line into turn 1. No, Henry's gone down. The front washes out, and he was asking too much of that. Oh, and we did say Henry most likely going to be the one to make a mistake. There it goes, asking too much to break away from Ducksworth and stretch out that gap to make up for his penalty, and it has gone all wrong for Henry, and Alfie's way too far behind to claim second, but it could take another mistake from Henry. At this point he's going to need Ducksworth to crash twice, to be honest, but at this point he's actually recovered quite well. He's not too far off Ducksworth considering he crashed at turn 1.
Yeah, he's not lost too much time, and he did just say his fastest lap of the race. Despite the mistake at the last corner, compared to the drive Ducksworth got at the last corner. But Ducksworth, he can't just ride the bike home. He's gonna have to still ride quite fast because Henry, he can afford to just go all in now because he can crash again and still finish third. So the pressure's now on Ducksworth just to bring the bike home, but he's got to ride within still a good speed, but it's got to be good enough to stay on for another 2 daring laps and without fine the line is of staying on this bike. Pressure's on for Ducksworth, but I think he's capable of handling it.
Yeah, 20% wear for Henry Mack on the rear, so he's going to have to be really careful. I think he is just managing this pace, and I think he knows that Henry has got that larger penalty than him because he wouldn't have pushed that hard to get away from him at that stage in a race. And he knows that. I mean, Henry is a proven winner. We saw it at Donington Park. We saw it in the Speedway races as well. And we've seen it in the Americana Supermoto Championship. If you're watching that on Mason Roth's Twitch, we know he knows exactly how to win a race. And that went completely wrong. So I do believe Ducksworth knows about that penalty. And that's why he's not going too hard here. He's just biding his time and trying to keep calm. But George has dropped to the back of the field and they are about to lap the Northamptonshire rider, and he gets out everybody's way nice and clean there from George. But now with only a lap to big lag moment, a huge moment of lag. Ducksworth drops back to second out of nowhere, and now the gap could be enough if Henry pulls out enough on this last lap to still win this race. What happened there? Literally, Ducksworth just spawned into second place. Welcome to ride 6. Ducksworth pushing too hard on the gravel. He does not know about the penalty. We said he might, and he doesn't. That gap might just be big enough now that he hit the gravel. Ducksworth is going to have to push so hard to keep it in. Actually, no, he won't really. That rear tyre of Henry is going to be crying out for mercy. Ducksworth's hard rear is going to be just fine at this point. 51% compared to 14. He does not know about Henry's penalty. Despite our calculations, he is really pushing for this. He does not want to lose this. He's going to think he's lost this when he hits the line. That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. No crashes, no contact, no freezing the lobby. He just spawned in second place. What on earth happened? I've seen it before where your PC just sometimes freezes or something, and it can cause these problems. But Ducksworth is closing in. He's in range to win this race. He doesn't know. We got a lap in front of him. Is what Benny, I think this is, going into the corkscrew for the final time. Henry might have this one on track, but I think Ducksworth got this on time. I think if he gets an opportunity, he will still send a dive in the last corner, which could, right off his race. If he crashes trying to push for it, you should really be careful here. Henry is going to try and get along with it. Ducksworth's gone late on the brakes. No! Ducksworth's gone down the last corner. As I predicted, he asked too much of it. Henry Mack wins at Laguna Seca. Ducksworth had it. He had it. One hand on the trophy and he didn't even know it. Oh no, he's going to be kicking himself for that one when he finds out about the penalty Henry Mack had. I don't think it's going to be enough to win the race. The gap is probably around 2.9 seconds in terms of actual race time, not including the penalties. That is devastating for Ducksworth, and I was just saying about how he could easily throw this down the road if he didn't know about the penalty, and there it goes. There we have it. It all went down the road when it didn't need to. Oh, what a shame. He wouldn't have got it done from that far away anyway. At that point, you'd think just, even if you weren't going to get it on the penalty, just chill out and take the second place, because you never know what could happen. But what a shame. That has gone completely down the drain for Ducksworth, who literally had it all in his hands. Even if he went half a second slower in that last corner, it still would have been his. Your heart breaks for him, but it was all his mistake and it was all his to lose. Whether he knew it or not, it's gone down the drain. And Henry Mack extends his championship lead ahead of Alfie in third place in the championship, third in the race as well. Good comeback ride from him, but what an eventful way to end the race meeting.
Unbelievable. It sort of mirrors Stern and Ross, you know, crash at the final corner where the faster guy crashed out. But Henry Mack will be blessing whatever it was that cost Ducksworth that time that put him into the lead, because ultimately that's what led to the crash on the last lap. But you know, the gap goes back to 5. So for Henry and Ducksworth, this round basically didn't happen points wise. But this could be, if the championship is separated on 5 points, this is where the swing happened.
Yeah, that is really disappointing. Ducksworth going mental about the lag, as you can expect. That has got to really break your heart. And hopefully next time out he will be able to capitalise on that and get back into the championship fight against Henry Mack. It is 1,000 naked RRMs at Southern 100 next week. We've got some road racing on our hands, and maybe the road racing G, Mason Roth, will make an appearance in the top 5 for the first time. Thank you very much for joining us, and it was a bit of a short one, but we weren't exactly missing much action, weren't we? Thank you for joining me and Jack, and we'll catch you next